All right, welcome to part 4 of this series of what to do if your book stops selling. Now, I'm going to get right to it and say this is a business video, okay? This is a business video. We have to put the creative stuff aside now. The only creativity involved would be in terms of perhaps looking at this, what I'm going to propose from different angles, and you could be creative that way. But I'm going to use the financial analogy for this, okay, or the metaphor, however you want to perceive it. Okay, so I'm going to show you something. Okay, now look, we got some books here, right? This is going to illustrate the point when I say so. So we have metahumans versus werewolves. This is superheroes and monsters, right? Axioman, the Deadland, superheroes and monsters, right? This one, Rat War, I have a story that I just did for a podcast this week, and it's called Landfill Buffet, and it's about rats. And then I have this one here, Magic Man plus Tales of Terror, a variety of horror stories. Now, they all have one thing in common, right? They're all stories, and they all have similar threads running through it, the undercurrent, so to speak, that lines them all up, but yet they're diversified, okay? So now, taking that literary concept in mind that I just showed, let's talk money, okay? Let's talk money. Any financial advisor would tell you that if you're going to invest, that you have to diversify your portfolio. Even if one market is extraordinarily hot, you cannot put all your eggs in that particular basket, because if that market goes down, you've lost everything, or you'll lose any gains that you might have gotten, and you might say reduce back down to principal, right? So any financial advisor will tell you, a little bit in column A, a little bit in column B, a little bit in column C, even column D and E, and each one is based on your investment risk level, and that's a personal decision for everybody, right? But the point is you're diversified. So the same thing happens with books. You need to be diversified. You need to ensure that, one, your distribution is solid, that you're diversified in your distribution. And you would also diversified in your formats, right? I mean, you could offer hardcover, paperback, ebook, for example. Okay, there's some diversification there because there's an audience for each, and then likewise in terms of the outlets, diversification. And then the second part is regarding that diversification, you need to market those places as well, right? Don't always post your link to Amazon. Amazon. There's other places. Post a link to Barnes and Noble. Post a link if you have your stuff at Drive Through Fiction. Great ebook place, by the way. Very cool setup there. It's really awesome. Put a link to even Target.com. I mean, your stuff is there if you're using Ingram as your distributor, and so on, right? So do that. Make sure you promote other items or other venues equally. Okay. All right, everyone promotes Amazon again, because they want to ride kick in the algorithm and get the reviews, and that's great, and that's good. But again, that's eggs in one basket if it's all you're doing. So you got to balance that, right? If you want to have the Amazon push, fine, give it some push, but don't forget the other places, okay? The thing with being an artist and being a writer or in whatever craft, and if you have something out there on the market, right? What you're ultimately doing is you have your main thing, and then you have all these little spider webs spinning out of it, right, to your distribution sources. So basically, in short, your income is like a few bucks here, a few bucks from there, a few bucks from there, blah, 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 and eventually becomes your pot, and your pot's your payday, right? So that's kind of how it works. It's kind of like the piggy bank effect, if you will. So that's the point of this video, is to make sure that you're diversified and that you are also investing in those diverse categories, right? No different than your financial portfolio, right? You have one market that's really hot, some that's maybe pretty good, some that's doing kind of down the middle at the moment, and even one that might potentially be not doing so well. But the point is, what you still do, as any investor will tell you, a practice investor will tell you, is you still feed your investments, unless one is utterly hopeless and it's going to tank and you're going to lose, period. And you have that on authoritative advice to pull. But outside of that, you still keep putting into those various channels, right? Because those markets fluctuate. Some stuff goes up, some stuff goes down. And if you have everything in the one hot market, again, if it goes down, you got a problem, right? And especially if we're talking finances, and then we need those for real life, you could have a potentially huge problem. So the same approach for your books. Diversify regarding your distribution and invest in each one through promoting each one. That's the investment part on your side. So it's not a financial investment, it's a effort investment. Promote the Nook from Barnes & Noble. Promote the paperback from Barnes & Noble. Promote the wonderful ebooks at Drive-Thru Fiction. Try Kobo, another e-reader, right? And promote those too. Don't worry about always promoting Amazon. Again, it's eggs in one basket. So yeah, diversify that way. So that's the online world, okay? Now, secondly, offline world. There is a huge world out there, people, all right? Those who have, that I've noticed that have been more successful in this business, not only do they have their online items going, they have offline items going. They are doing book signings. They are doing conventions. They are trunk selling, meaning that you should be keeping copies of your book or books in the back of your trunk. And when you go to a gathering or a party or whatever, and it comes up, you're a writer, and you can be like, hey, I mean, you do it subtly, right? Hey, you know what? I happen to have some copies in my trunk. Do you want to see one of my books? Okay, sure. And you go and get it and bring it to them, and you never know, put it in their hand, because that's a trick for selling. Put it in their hand, because that gives them perceived ownership, and you might get a sale out of it, right? So the point is, you have to also work the outside world. Why? Because if you get people going on board to pick up your books in the offline world, what's going to happen is everything in this planet is online to a large degree. So they're going to have a great offline experience with you. And then sure enough, yeah, when they're, fooling around on the internet or whatever, they might visit you on the web. They might say, oh, they have all these other books. Oh, I can order from here because I do like to order from there. And again, so it's not just advertising to the virtual world, it's also advertising to the external world, right? And let's be honest, we're physical beings. We live outside in a physical world. Okay, all this stuff through our phones is all computer matrix nonsense, right? That we somehow connect through. I don't understand how these phones work. I mean, let's be objective. It's plastic, some metal, and some silicone. Like, how does that... That makes no sense that it can do what it can do, but that's a video on its own. But yeah, diversification. Cater to these different avenues, right? And then, as per the previous videos, as we discussed, right, we have our list. Remember that we talked about that? The list, the huge laundry list, okay? And then as we do our analysis, this is working, this is not, right? Same rule applies to offline efforts as well. Try it all to spread the word without being annoying, but try it all. Have your list, find out what works on the outside and what doesn't, right? And adjust accordingly based on you, right? Remember, not on necessarily what other people are doing, but on you. Cater to you. You can take what everyone else is doing, scoop it together, and then weed out what works for Bob might not work for you. That kind of thing, right? And organize accordingly. But the point is, you have to diversify. Diversify, diversify, diversify. Diversify. I can't say it enough times because it's so important. And for myself, like, people are like, Fuchs, I've seen your sales ranks online and they're not huge. I'm like, I know, they're not huge. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. Why? Because for me personally, just the way my audience is, I would suggest probably 80% of my sales from like physical contact / physical efforts / paperbacks and that sort of stuff. Like that's just happens to be my audience is more of an offline audience. It's just the way it is. I don't know. But either way, they're my audience, right? And they get the same respect as my online audience. So that's where I'm coming from. But it's also illustrating the point that diversification works, okay? So simply to recap, without going on and on, you get the point, is no different than your personal finances, where you should be diversifying your nest egg, so to speak. Same idea with your book, because in this case, we are talking about a financial investment. Your book is an investment. You put time, you put effort, you put some funds, right? So now you sowed it into the market, and now we have to water each place we sowed. If you don't water where you sowed, it will not grow, right? Okay, you get the point. Diversify. Promote stuff equally. Spread the word, because you'll be surprised. There's people out there who aren't Amazonaholics. There are people out there who are alternative and prefer other outlets. There are people out there who like ordering direct from the creator. Why? Because creators are often known to package an order and throw in some fun freebies, whether it's a sticker or a button or a pen or whatever. It's a little bonus, right? And plus, too, it's good for the creator. I mean, some people do recognize that ordering direct is better on a financial level for the creator than it is going through a middleman. So they support in that context. So the point is, again, diversify. And again, I could say it forever and ever and ever. But you get the point, okay? So diversify your horror, diversify your superheroes, diversify your romance, diversify your science fiction, diversify your fantasy, diversify your horror, diversify it all, man. And if you water each place where you're sowed, fruit will come. All right? And if you got something out of this, out of anything, at least I hope maybe you got a little bit of financial advice, a little bit too in that respect. Diversify, diversify, diversify. Broken record, out.